My name is Ryan Zierman, and this is one of my front-end portfolio projects, the Trade App, or Trade Record Adaptation Engine. This idea came out because there was only one piece of software out there I could find that imported MetaTrader history statements, and it did a rather poor job, had few features. It was kind of pricey, cumbersome, and buggy for what little it did. I was amazed that such a popular platform following hasn't yielded more choices, so that's where the idea came from. I began with that part, parsing and uploading MetaTrader statements into a database and displaying them in a table. That was one of the primary challenges because the MetaTrader terminals do not do file exports for statement data except in an HTML format. So the parser iterates through those element features to determine what text is what. From there, the data is sent via JSON to the server, and it's updated in the Redux statement for display in the data manager. So let's get into it and take a look. So here you can see I'm using Redux to store whether or not the user's accepted the terms and conditions, and then to conditionally render the app based on that. If you try to get around the terms and conditions, it won't let you until you accept, and then the landing page will render. The home page is laid out using Flexbox, and you can see it's pretty responsive there with resizing, and we can take a look at an iPhone real quick just to see what that would look like, and it's looking pretty good, so that works pretty well. I'm not much of a UI designer, so fair warning on the colors, but I wanted to demonstrate my use of CSS variables by adding this dark mode feature in my drop down menu here. So we can go to dark mode and back to normal. And you can see with my my modals and my user login and all that, I kind of styled them with some transparent just to be different. Still toying around with those. We can work on this guy a little bit. But then we can get into the data manager over here. And that's where I really started with the core of the project. So I can upload a piece of data, and I need to select what type of data this is, and that will determine what parser I'm using. So I've got an example file here that I'll use. And there's a history file of some trade statements. I upload it, it goes into the server. And then when I click data, you see that it's automatically populated in my view table here so that I can get an idea of what the data contains. Now it has bar data and it also has transaction data. So how do these file list pills know the difference, and how is it laid out different? Well, let's take a look at that. You see that my data manager page is laid out here. Here's my options for selecting that parser I was showing you earlier, and I'll add some more of that later. And then here's the return statement for the page, and it basically consists of this data list component. So if we look at the data list component, you see it's very simple. It's got some status for the server communication, and then it maps through the data in the server and populates these file list pills. And if we look at those file list pills, there's two types of returns, and those are conditional based on the type of data pulled from the server, because there will be a slightly different format for those. Take a quick look at the parsers. I mean, you can see this in the GitHub. There's not much to show here. A lot of them are works in progress, but they are pretty complex because, again, they have to pick through those complex HTML statements, and then the variables are structured into a JSON object and sent back to the server. And then for CSV parser, that's really easy using Papa Parse. And then you can pretty much format that JSON however you want. And that's the parser for bar data. But going back to the app, I'm experimenting with some plugins from TradingView. This is an alternate home page. It's pretty cool. It's responsive as well. As you can click one of these and it opens up the stock information. Their plugins are free. That's nice of them. Then these other pages are still under construction. Eventually I will be incorporating a trade log and then a way to compare data from different brokers. But I really need to get into my backend courses before I decide what server setup I'm going to use. And then I'll be able to organize my data the way I want and populate these other pages that I'm building the way I want. I saw something on YouTube and it was just a code along, but it's this rotating box, and that's all done with CSS styling and transforms. I thought that was pretty cool, so I threw that in there just to play with it. But there's quite a bit you can do with just CSS. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and I look forward to finishing the backend courses and seeing how complex it is in 6 to 8 months. Thank you.